Welcome to this video. It's where I'm going to try to convince you to stop doing Halloween if you are a Christian. Okay, so we have Halloween. Okay, and what is Halloween, and should you do it if you love Jesus Christ? And so, what are some of the key things here? Well, Halloween promotes death, right? And so, right off the gate, we don't want to promote death because we know that death is the enemy of Jesus Christ. And we kind of mock that when we do Halloween, right? It says in the Holy Bible that the last enemy of Jesus will be death. And so Halloween promotes death, and they promote fun. They want to teach the children that death is fun and scary, and you get, if you dress up like it, even you can get rewarded treats. Okay? And so if we're a part of the world, then we are enemies of God, is what the Holy Bible says. And this is a tradition. Halloween is a tradition that is just been calloused over by, time. Where we do it as soon as we, are born. Mom and dad are, putting us in pumpkin suits. Here's another one. It promotes fear. Okay? God didn't want us to fear the world. He wanted us to fear Him. And during this time, the television starts to show scary stuff, and it just terrifies the children, but people think it's fun. It's funny, It's funny to scare people. And so that's pretty satanic to me. It promotes the enemy of God. Enemies of God. Okay? And who are they? They're the witches. Okay? Satan. How many people dress up as witches, Satan, or they cross-dress? That was a big thing that I used to do. I used to go as a girl. My sisters would dress me up as a girl for Halloween. And so this stuff is just terrible if you're a Christian. If you're not a Christian, this stuff is, right down your alley, you know what I mean? But if you're a Christian, you need to start understanding that we got to come out of her. We got to come out of the Babylon, is what the book of Revelation says. And so, looking back, the movies, and you might think that it's all harmless, but it's not. It's not harmless because it opens up doors. And so if you don't know anything about the spiritual realm, is that there are doors that you can open by your actions, and doors that you can open up by your words, and doors you can open up by congregating with these type of people, okay, dressed as witches and demons and warlocks and stuff. All right. Doors can open. Okay. What does that mean? Well, evil spirits can enter into your house. Evil spirits can even enter into you if you do some horrible things. So it promotes sin. Okay? And you might ask, well, how does it promote sin? Well, it is all controversy to Jesus Christ. It is the opposite of the Lord. And so it promoting sin is, it wants you to be a part of the world, a part of their tradition, and it breaks Acts 15:20, which says, don't eat foods offered to idols. Okay? And so witches are an idol. Satan is definitely an idol. And so when you knock on the door, you say these words. And what are they? The famous words, trick or treat. Okay? And so whoever, they're dressed up probably as a witch or something, and they give you food and you eat it, and that's a sin. And it says if you do this, you're not going to do well. Just like Christmas, when they offer food to Santa Claus, and it's a lie, and so they're in sin, but they don't even know it because it's been generationally depressed or suppressed. And so Acts 15:20 says, don't eat foods offered to idols. Fake idols, fake idols, or real ones. Okay? And that's a trick question. That's a trick question. All idols are fake compared to God. And so that's the trick, and that's the trick of Halloween, is all these idols. Somebody can dress up as one, and so you have been tricked, if you're a Christian, to participate in this. If the Lord were to come back on October 31st, that night, what would he catch you dressed up as? And would you go to heaven if he caught you, doing this stuff? That's what fears me, and so that it helps me try to stay on track, so I don't get tricked by Satan. Because, this is what Eve cried out in Genesis. Eve said, Satan beguiled me, which means tricked me. And I believe 100% that Halloween is tricking Christians to participate in a ritual. Okay, this is a ritual. All right? It's definitely 100% a ritual. And so the things that I have studied is, I have spoken to witches who used to do this stuff, but not for fun. They would actually, they would testify that they would see a witch. I don't know if you guys know this, but a witch, when she does spells, she calls on demons. She can't do them. She has to use demons, okay? Demons, spirits, to do her work, okay? When a saint, a person wants to, they pray, they use the holy spirits, okay? And that's how they get their stuff done. When you pray to Jesus, he sends angels, ministering angels, to do what you prayed for. Witches when they, do their stuff, they actually can command demons or evil spirits to do bad things to people who are unarmored. Okay? And so they can only do bad things to people that are unarmored. Okay? And I'm saying Halloween is naked Christians. I mean, that's truly the definition in Genesis, that Adam and Eve knew they were naked because they had sinned, and so they had no armor. They knew they had sinned. And so I hope you guys really check out, like, look, if Jesus came back, was sent back while I was doing Halloween, what type of Jesus have you created in your mind? It's a good question. What type of Jesus have you created? Is he okay with sin? Is he okay with evil? Is he okay with this stuff? No. He's not okay with that stuff. He despises witches. He doesn't like Satan. Okay? He doesn't like spells. This is mentioned in the Bible a lot. Okay? That there are warlocks in the Bible, in the Old Testament. The enemy of the Israelites, they go to a warlock, which is a witch, a male witch. They go to a warlock and they ask him to put a spell on the Israelites. And this warlock says no. Are you guys crazy? Are you guys dumb? Do you not know who these people, their God is? Their God is the one true God. True God. And God would kill him if he did curse them. And so this warlock refused to curse the Israelites. But guess what? They were in covenant with God. There are many times where if you're not in covenant, that you can be cursed. Not in covenant. Okay? They're not covered by the blood. They're not in covenant of the blood, which means you're sinning. Okay? And this sinning thing, it's a real stinker, sin is just terrible, sin is at every corner, lying, stealing, cheating, gluttony, drunkardness, it's just, and so we need the blood of the Lamb. When we can identify our sin, we cry for the blood, right? That's what we cry. We say, Lord Jesus, please forgive me of lying, da-da-da-da-da-da. You fill in the blank. And that blocks witches and warlocks and the devil and his team from getting you. Because God chastises those he loves. Okay? And what does this mean? Well, Paul, let's give an example. Paul was sent a demon. Okay? I don't know, it's with a D, it's a demon. Okay? I'm a bad speller. But anyway, in the New Testament, Paul receives a demon, and right here, he gets a pain. Okay, he gets a pain in his side. And he prays 3 times to Jesus. And Jesus says, my grace is sufficient. You need this because you're getting too, and I'm using my own words to describe what's in the Bible, but a demon is sent to hurt Paul, to keep him humble. Okay? And so now he gets a sickness or some type of disease or pain or, something with his body that he don't like. And pretty much Jesus says, look, you need that to keep yourself humble. Which is a very interesting Bible verse and study on this situation. Because God made light and dark. God made good times and bad times. Even the demons tremble at Jesus Christ. And so he can utilize them for God's glory. And so Jesus even says this in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, or chapter 1 or chapter 2. He says, I will make you a church of Satan. Okay? And so that is what Jesus can do. He can make even your church belong to Satan. Okay? And so that's what we need to understand is when we participate in Halloween, we're being tricked and treated by the traditions of this world with promoting what is bad to be good, which is the prophecy in the Holy Bible. Because this prophecy is just, it's trippy. Look at this. There's a prophecy that says, in the end times, good will be evil, and evil will be good. I mean, this is a prophecy about our times. And so I know I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of people to stop doing Halloween, but God stopped me from doing it. I'm still a work in progress. I'm not an amazing child of God, but I am a child of God, and He's teaching me one day at a time about what love is. And Halloween is not love. Halloween is the opposite of love. It's death and fear and the enemies of God, with you having fun with them. Okay? Don't eat from the fun tree, Back to the garden where God says, don't eat of that or you're going to get death. And now we mock God by celebrating death. You shouldn't mock God. Never mock God. And I believe Halloween mocks Him if you're a Christian. Because it's not good. You may not see evil in it, but you're participating in an image of evil. Okay? I've seen people dress up as Hitler. What would a Jew say? Like, look, Hitler murdered my grandpa. You don't want to do these things. Halloween is a terrible thing to do if you're Christian. So think about it. Maybe do something else. I know there's still things you can do during Halloween, like the pumpkin patch, but stay away from evil. Even if it seems fun. That's the trick of Satan. Satan ain't stupid. He's got good bait, and he's fishing for lukewarm Christians every day. And this is a big, this is him netting Christians on this day. He's just catching a whole bunch of Christians this day. And then he, has the legal right to attack you in certain ways because you don't say, Jesus, please forgive me of participating in Halloween. It's an unrepented sin. And so the blood does not cover you in that area. And so, but it needs to. It needs to. So, well, I hope that you guys caught something on this. I know it doesn't seem evil just in your perspective, but I guarantee you, if you talk to an ex-witch who used to do Halloween, that's the time of year where she gets most of her, her work done with what she wants to do and gets promoted in the evil satanic realm, So yeah, it's not good, you guys. Well, God loves you. Yehovah loves you so much that he sent Yeshua the Messiah to save you from sin and to save you from the lies of the devil. And so cling to God who loves you. Cling to God who is all light and love through Jesus Christ, his only begotten Son. And you will be saved. Trust in him. Trust he can change your heart. Trust that he can change your mind. And trust that he can open up your eyes to see the satanic rituals of this world that don't seem harmless, but they are harmless to your soul. Because the eyes are your window to your soul. And you don't want to let this stuff in, especially to your children.